This is my first public hearing in the General Assembly on either side of the circle, so after 25 minutes on recycle bins, I certainly am a little nervous. To the chairs, to the vice chairs, the ranking member, my name is State Representative Pat Boyd. I represent 5 small towns in northeastern Connecticut. I'm here with 2 members of the municipal ad hoc group that was appointed by the town of Pomfret to study the issue brought up in House Bill 5884, which deals with the use of coal tar sealants in state roads and local highways. Dr. Bergendahl, Ms. Verrilli, have been working on this since the summer, like I said, as appointed by the Municipal Board of Selectmen to work on this very issue. I had introduced this bill initially as a concept bill based off an incident that had happened in the town of Pomfret over the summer, where the Board of Selectmen chose a vendor to use a coal tar sealant-based rejuvenator, which is a new term in the field. Most of the time sealant is what's there, which is a departure from the asphalt-based sealant which is normally used. This was appealing for a number of reasons. One, the cost was significantly less, and it was legal in the state of Connecticut, so the town and the Board of Selectmen thought nothing of moving forward. As the process moved on and the largest subdivision in our small town had this stuff applied, more interest in the coal tar aspect came forward. One, it was kind of a very messy, sloppy application, which raised some concerns. Some members of the community contacted the Department of Public Health and raised some questions, which brought a rather healthy debate within the town. And the town learned a great deal that we did not know before and garnered interests of other municipalities in the area regard to coal tar. Our research has led that coal tar-based sealants and rejuvenators are banned in 2 states in the District of Columbia, as well as have serious restrictions in a dozen other municipalities and counties across the state of Connecticut, or across the United States. The Department of Public Health on November 1st put out a memo to all municipal leaders and to local health directors advising against the use of coal tar-based rejuvenators in roads based off the experience in Pomfret, as they referred to in the memo, an incident in eastern Connecticut. And largely it pointed to research done by the USGS on this topic, of which they also lay out very serious concerns with coal tar and the chemical PAH that it contains across the board. So I reference in my testimony those 2 documents. You have the Department of Public Health memo as well as some data from the USGS on this topic. I'm pleased that the Commissioner of DEEP has joined in supporting this bill. And what brought us here is, to no fault of their own, but on a local level, if something's legal in Connecticut, small municipalities, much like the 5 that I represent, don't have the ability or the resources to do the type of vetting and research that is really needed for something that's new on the block. The First Selectman strongly believes, and I agree with him, that the state needs to take a leadership role in this area, as we have in so many other environmental areas. This is something that we can easily do to give guidance to our municipalities. The DOT has put a self-ban on it. They don't use it. They used it briefly in 2012 for bridge abutments. Many stores have used kind of, you think of the driveway version, the buckets that exist. I know a number of major retailers have on their own taken it off the shelves, and most of the time asphalt-based sealants is what we commonly see, not coal tar-based with that. So that being said, I wanted to give to my fellow townspeople a chance to share what they've learned from their work on the ad hoc committee. And I'm free afterwards to answer any of your questions.
Sorry. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Kimberly Bergendahl. I am a mother of 2 children, Thomas, who is aged 15. My daughter Meredith will be 12 very shortly, a couple of weeks. I am the wife of a professor at Worcester Polytech. He is also the director of the environmental engineering program there. I've learned a lot from him, and in many ways have found that what he knows by way of the publications that he has put forward, as well as his knowledge of the field, that when the town decided to put this product on our roads, that it was something that really was a matter of concern for us as a family, concern for our fellow residents. I teach at the University of Connecticut. I'm in the Department of Political Science. It's kind of interesting. I would like to think I know the political system. I actually study all of you. I have interns here who are working for you. But actually, I found myself at a loss for understanding the political system. When the town put this product on our roads, and after we relayed our concerns to the first selectman, it became obvious that cost savings was probably the more important thing than the health and the sanctity of the environment. And so despite my calls to numerous state agencies throughout the summer of 2016, what I found is all roads, pardon the pun, led back to the first selectman and the town of Pomfret. Without having any kind of state law, as Representative Boyd has mentioned and has proposed to you today, our towns may still be guided by that need to put cost savings ahead of thinking about the health and safety of the citizens, as well as the sanctity of the environment. I personally, and I've provided written testimony, would like to see a ban that actually is inclusive of the sale and use of coal tar paving products, similar to what we see in states, one state in particular like Minnesota. But Austin, Texas, as a city, has an ordinance which specifies the types of sanctions that could be imposed for those who do sell these products. I think those are great ways in which we as a state should move forward and really think about how we can make not only these elected officials at the local levels more accountable, but also just trying to prevent those from selling it, especially when they're not telling us about the dangers. That's what happened in Pomfret. We were not aware. In fact, we were provided with misleading information. Now, one of the things that I sent in as written testimony is a cease and desist letter from the Environmental Protection Agency. Fortunately, they listened to us. Both my neighbor and now very good friend, Sharon Verrilli, who will be speaking in a few minutes here, but we reached out to them, and they made it very clear that they did not endorse this product. So when false and misleading information is being provided, think about those who are consumers. Those consumers will just go with what they hear, and that's not good enough, because that's what your obligation is, you know, as our elected representatives, to think about the types of consequences that may come from false and misleading information. So I do ask you to really consider this, to at the very least look at it as it's proposed, to put a ban on the use of it on state and local highways, but consider expanding it for the sale and use. It's really important for our families, for our children. I've brought photos of basketballs, a basketball in particular, that has been played with by the children in my cul-de-sac. Think about the contact that has been made. Coal tar with these PAHs will then be mobilized, will then, based on contact, being brought into the homes. This is a worry that I have had now for 7 months. My family has had for 7 months. Both my husband and I are academics. We know peer-reviewed research. We understand it. And that is what is guiding us to, well, my husband's not here today, but he submitted written testimony. That's what's guiding us to get you to consider the dangers that these paving products pose. There are safer alternatives out there. This is not the only type of product that can be used on our roadways. So please consider expanding the bill to include a ban on the sale and use of these products. It is dangerous to it's a product that is toxic to aquatic life. That is your task as the Environment Committee, to think about the consequences that this product has, or these products have, on the environment. There is research there to show that it is toxic to a product.
Could you please summarize? I'm sorry.
So,
We're doing the representative a courtesy by allowing him
Sure,
to talk,
absolutely.
and you're kind of taking up his time. So in
Sure,
fairness
absolutely.
to the other people who are waiting, if you can summarize, the two of you, before we move on to
Absolutely. So I will defer then to Sharon, but thank you very much.
Hello, thank you. I'm Sharon Verrilli, and I live in Pomfret with my family. I'll be really brief. We've done a lot of research on all of this since it came to our town, and Pomfret is a beautiful town, country town where we, a lot of farms and farm stands. People eat organic, which people in many towns do, but it's a beautiful country town, and over the summer, this material, coal tar laden material, was laid on our roads, and the smell was so strong that many of the residents got sick. Were nauseous, severe headaches, and we found out later that after application, the coal tar. The pH level, which is so dangerous, is 30,000 times greater than in unsealed pavement. So, and that the lifetime cancer risk of this material is 38 times greater. So we just, we really appreciate you having us here today. I'll just make it really quick. I appreciate Representative Boyd bringing this to you, and we just, implore you to consider acting today, because, like we said, we spoke to the EPA, and they said that they have never heard of this product being used in a neighborhood. They were shocked, and that's what they came out with, the cease and desist letter. They said they will notify municipalities that this is a dangerous product and to stop using it. And they also mentioned that there is a Toxic Substance Control Act that is up for review, that it's been out there for years, and that the EPA is going, the product, one of the materials in this product is up for review. So it's coming. It's going to be, eventually, there's going to be a nationwide ban on this, I believe. So I just would implore you to consider this, and the American Medical Association 2 months ago, on November 16, issued a press release saying that they have a new policy advocating for legislation to ban pavement seal coats containing polycyclical aromatic hydrocarbons, which are PAHs. Whether they are sending their children to a playground or repairing a driveway, Americans are potentially being exposed to harmful carcinogens in coal tar-based seal coats. So please consider listening to what the American Medical Association is saying. Protect our families, protect our children. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
I appreciate the indulgence of the committee, but these folks have worked quite a bit on the local level with that part. The end result for the municipality is that Pomfret is in the process of having a town-wide ordinance at their next town meeting that would ban the use of this product within the municipality. And what particularly drove that is this winter, the first winter where this stuff was down, that the snow plows literally flaked it up, and we had street sweepers go through, collect this stuff, and keep it in a secure place, so we figure out how to go from there. So I'm happy to answer any of your questions, and again, appreciate your time and your indulgence.
Thank you, Representative, and thank you very much for coming to testify today in the Environment Committee on this most important issue. You made mention of a cease and desist order. If you could provide the committee a copy of that letter, because it's not in the materials that I have, I think that would be helpful.
Yep, and the key part there was that the manufacturer had used the likeness of the EPA when circulating materials to residents, and that had gone through, and they sent the cease and desist to the manufacturer, asking them to stop, represent that the item was approved by the EPA, because the EPA does not, as you know, approve products on a federal level. So.
All right. Questions for Representative Boyd? Yes, Representative Winkler.
In the old days, a reliable method of inducing cancerous tumors on research rats was to paint them with coal tar.
Really?
My question is, why is this bill limited to state highways?
Well, it's as the committee raised it, I had sent it as a concept bill with the intention for it to be an umbrella. When the committee raised it, used the word state and local highways, which I'm told is interchangeable with roadways as a whole. I would like to see us expand it so that we don't use this stuff on parking lots of large stores and commercially for driveways, even though if you want to do it yourself, like I said before, there are already some bans on that being used. So I would like to see, since it's now a committee bill, if it could be expanded and be the umbrella, because this is something where we as a state, I think, should take a leadership role and not leave it to the local level, because I don't think we want to leave the local level the option to decide to put something potentially harmful to the environment. You know, that's a decision that we want to have made. I think we should take a leadership role.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Representative Dunsby.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. So roads have to be maintained, driveways have to be maintained, so you have to use something. I think you referred to asphalt base. So in any case, if this were banned, what would be used, and how does that compare in terms of safety and cost?
Yep. The most common thing I think we all see is the asphalt-based sealants. That's what's used, I would argue, on 90% of our surfaces here in the state of Connecticut. And we would continue. Now, asphalt itself is not, if you were to do a chemical breakdown and an MSDS of that, there's obviously harmful things, but I think it all comes into the higher level of PAH that's in coal tar is the concern, where there's much lower levels of chemicals in traditional asphalt base. So I think we would kind of continue on what has been common for the last 40 years or so on our roads and our driveways.
Other questions from the committee? I know we're going to be hearing testimony later on today on this particular bill, but Representative, thank you very much for coming, and thank you, residents of Pomfret, for taking the time to come here this morning. So